All right, it is episode 5 or 6. Oh gosh, today I'm actually not sure. I'm gonna say 5. I'm going with 5. It's episode 5 of the Shively show. It's stormy outside, so if you hear some thunder, then you know it wasn't me. Today I've got to talk about. Unfortunately, I have to talk about Lindsey Graham, but after that I've got a really good story about a guy named Maxwell Alejandro Frost. Awesome name. Frost, cool ass name. Maxwell, cool name. Alejandro, ties it all together. Hopefully my collar's right, by the way. I don't have anyone here to actually make sure it's right, so I hope this is right, but no one's grading me. All right, so Lindsey Graham is defying the law here. More than we already knew. So if you don't know Lindsey Graham, he's a Trump loyalist. He's a rough looking 66. He's a Ooh, did you see that? The lights just went out. He is a Republican from South Carolina. He's been there for, it seems like ever, but basically, dude doesn't have a spine. He doesn't really have morals. He just kind of goes along with whatever someone tells him to do, right? So, yesterday, Lindsey Graham was subpoenaed by a Fulton County grand jury, which is Atlanta, Georgia, in case you don't know that. Among him, the other notable names are John Eastman and Rudy Giuliani, but there were more people subpoenaed. They're all in Trump's orbit. The Georgia Attorney General, Fani Willis, I like her name too, who is a Democrat, which is important to mention, filed for a subpoena. She said, quote, "A multi-state coordinated plan by the Trump campaign to influence the results of the November 2020 election, Georgia and elsewhere." That was her reasoning for subpoenaing. But the specific instance or instances that she is subpoenaing for is subpoenaing. How do you say that? She filed a subpoena for. She's looking into a January 2021 phone call. What started this is the January 2021 phone call in which Trump pushed Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to, quote-unquote, find the votes needed for Trump to win the state. I think Biden won by 11,789. And the tape's out there, by the way. Go listen to the Trump phone call. But Trump asked the Secretary of State, who is in charge of elections, to find 11,780. So one more than Biden won. She also said that the team is looking into a November 2020 phone call between Lindsey Graham and Brad Raffensperger, both of them Republicans. What we didn't know, what we found out yesterday, is that Lindsey Graham actually made 2 phone calls to Raffensperger and members of his staff in the weeks after the 2020 election. So, as soon as Trump lost, it's rigged, it's stolen, there's no way we lost, things like that. And he had his goonies go after him because he couldn't do anything. During those calls, Graham asked about re-examining certain absentee ballots, absentee mail-in, basically the same thing, quote-unquote, in order to explore the possibility of a more favorable outcome for former President Trump. Basically, find him some votes, right? Graham had cast doubt on Georgia's signature matching law. I think you needed, 2 signatures or something from the person. I don't remember. And it also floated the possibility that biased poll workers could have counted ballots with inconsistent signatures. So basically what he's saying is poll workers, which, by the way, I think election interference is an offense you're going to go to prison for, right? But he says that Biden poll workers wouldn't match the signatures or even the iffy signatures, right, and would count them anyway, which, to be fair, I think, that should happen anyway, But everyone deserves a vote is what I'm trying to say. But Lindsey also asked if Raffensperger could discard all mail-in ballots from counties that had shown higher rates of unmatched signatures. Okay. Sorry, had to cut there. The thunder was getting crazy, but where was I? Yeah, so signature matching, all it is the poll workers, whoever's counting the ballots, right? They compare your signature to one that they have on file, right? So probably your driver's license or real ID or whatever, right? And they just check to make sure that the signature matches. And if it doesn't match, then people have, I think, like 3 or 5 days to cure a ballot, right? That's literally the whole process. So he wants to throw all the mail-in ballots out from the counties that showed higher rates of unmatched signatures, which, in case you don't know, Democrats tended to vote by mail more. So basically he's trying to say, can you throw away all the pretty much most of the Democratic votes in Democratic strongholds, right? That's what he's saying. It's barely thinly veiled, right? You see this in my hair? I got it. This comes from the AP. I just ripped this paragraph from it. It's not exactly clear what charges Willis, who's the Attorney General, could ultimately choose to pursue against Trump or anyone else. In a letter she sent to top-ranking state officials last year, she said she was looking into, quote, potential violations of Georgia law prohibiting the solicitation of election fraud, the making of false statements to state and local government bodies, conspiracy, racketeering, violations of oath of office, and any involvement in violence or threats related to the election administration, right? End quote. So let's go through that really quickly. Let's see. Election fraud, pretty, clear cut. I don't think there was any election fraud, but peddling claims of it and stuff like that. Conspiracy to commit election fraud, which, I mean, telling someone to find one more vote than the person that you're running against seems like a bit of a conspiracy to me, but who am I, right? Racketeering, I don't think it has. Violation of oath of office or any involvement in violence or threats of violence. So this is where I think both conspiracy and violence or threats of violence, I think this is where something could come up, right? Because there's more to the story, but y'all know it's my show. I got to give my opinion. But I think what Willis is trying to do is she's subpoenaing people close to Trump so she can figure out where his mind state was, right? Oh, he wanted to do this, wanted to do that, right? And then the protests, the death threats and armed militias and stuff like that who were going against Raffensperger, who was a Republican, I think I mentioned. I think she's going to try to get him on the same charges that Trump would get from January 6th, right? Obviously, Trump wasn't at the Capitol. Trump didn't bring any weapons. He didn't explicitly say, hey guys, go kill Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi, right? But he coerced a crowd and knew what they would do and allegedly coordinated with right-wing militia groups like the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and things like that. That's where I think this might be going, right? Having or working also with political candidates, endorsing the candidates who tried to or who agreed with Trump, who was like, I'm not going to endorse you unless you say that there's election fraud, right? I think that's where this is going. And seeing what Merrick Garland has or hasn't done, if you don't know, Merrick Garland is the U.S. Attorney General. I think that they are going to follow Georgia because I think Merrick Garland, he had all the evidence before. He has all the evidence now because of the January 6th committee. And he still hasn't even opened an inquiry into Trump, right? And so I think if Trump, or at least Trump loyalists, people who work for Trump, people who are in his inner circle, see some kind of charge, some kind of repercussion from this Georgia investigation, I think that'll lay the groundwork for Merrick Garland and the Justice Department to go after Trump. Now, do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. Rich Republicans have no consequences, right? I think that's pretty much a fact. So I can hold out hope, hope for the best, expect the worst kind of thing. But there is more to this story. We got an update this morning. So Lindsey Graham's attorneys, Bart Daniel and Matt Austin, there are Lindsey Graham, Bart Daniel, Matt Austin. That is 6 first names across 3 people. That's impressive. Said in a statement this morning, that the Republican senator, meaning Lindsey Graham, quote, plans to go to court, challenge the subpoena, and expects to prevail, end quote. And they slammed the probe as politically motivated because, what is her name? I really like her name. Fani Willis is a Democrat, right? Even though Brad Raffensperger testified under oath in front of the special committee, and the audio is kind of out there, right? But it's politically motivated. Whatever. It's not. There's no laws being broken here. This is a quote, or this is a further quote from the statement that the attorneys made. This is all politics. Fulton County, again Atlanta, Georgia, is engaging in a fishing expedition and working in concert with the January 6th committee in Washington, adding that as chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Senator Graham was well within his rights to discuss with state officials and the processes and procedures around administering elections. There's a lot of nothing there, but there's also something, right? So first saying working in concert with the January 6th committee in Washington. Okay. And it's a bipartisan committee being led by Republicans. Just because, and every single witness has been a Republican and has testified under oath. It's televised. So whether they are or aren't, I know the right thinks that January 6th, the January 6th commission is some deep state, liberal, Obama-loving committee. But it's not. Liz Cheney is not a good leader, right? Neither is Adam Kinzinger. Neither are any of the Republicans that they have had testify, right? Go to Adam Kinzinger's Twitter. Go listen to the 3-minute video of Trump fans, whatever, Trumpies, threatening the man, right? And they all sound the same, like, how dare you? They all sound like that. Go listen to it, right? It's not partisan, right? Adam Kinzinger defended Trump to pretty much the death until January 6th, right? I mean, he voted for him and stuff like that. He wasn't Ted Cruz level of brown nosing, but he was there, right? He's a Republican in the House. But there's more. I read this, but I'll read it again. As chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Senator Graham was well within his rights to discuss with state officials the processes and procedures around administering elections, right? As we mentioned, I think yesterday and a few days ago when I talked about that Greenville, South Carolina story, elections are the states handle elections, right? Republicans can't argue that in one instance and then argue against it, and they can, and they contradict themselves constantly. But don't believe me. Let me read you what on the Senate Judiciary website. Let me read you what they say. And in addition to its critical role providing oversight of the DOJ and the agencies under that jurisdiction, including the FBI, Homeland Security, it plays an important role in the consideration of nominees and pending legislation, right? It's also charged with the consideration of Article 3 judicial nominations. Again, this includes Supreme Court, Appellate Court, and District Court nominations. Also, the Court of International Trade, doesn't matter. In addition to oversight and nominations, it also considers legislation, resolutions, messages, petitions, memorials, and other matters. These matters include appointment of representatives, bankruptcy, mutiny, espionage, and counterfeiting, civil liberties, constitutional amendments, federal courts and judges, government information, holidays and celebrations, immigration and naturalization. We're halfway through. Interstate compacts generally, judicial proceedings, civil and criminal generally, local courts and territories and possessions, measures relating to claims against the U.S., national penitentiaries, patent office, patents, copyrights, and trademarks, protections of trade and commerce against unlawful restraints and monopolies, revision and codification of the statutes of the U.S., and state and territorial boundary lines. Did you hear a word about elections, right? What I think they're going to try to do is say government information or counterfeiting, so therefore it was within his right. But this is on the judiciary website, judiciary.senate.gov, right? None of that is in his job description as the Senate Judiciary chairman. As the chairman, he should know that. He probably just assumed that because he was a rich Republican that he would have no consequences. But honestly, no one really likes Lindsey Graham. I mean, I think it goes Ted Cruz at the bottom, then maybe Lindsey Graham or Josh Hawley, which, you know, you're fighting for the bottom of the barrel there. That's not saying much, but there's more. This is more from his lawyers. Should it stand, the subpoena issued today would erode the constitutional balance of power and the ability of a member of Congress to do their job, they went on. They also said that they had been informed by Fulton County investigators that Graham is, quote, is neither a matter nor a target of the investigation, right? End quote. So this is where I get a little confused, right? I say the subpoena issued today would erode the constitutional balance of power and the ability of a member of Congress to do their job, right? So I think you have to tackle the member of Congress to do their job first, right? In Article 1, Section 6 of the Constitution, it says, quote, they, meaning members of Congress, they shall in all cases, except treason, felony, and breach of the peace, be privileged from arrest during the attendance at the session of their respective houses and in going and returning from the same, and for any speech or debate in either house, meaning the House of the Senate, they shall not be questioned in any other place. So what that says is, basically what that means is members of Congress cannot be arrested for things that they do on the job or relating to their job, right? That's so that they don't have fear of saying something and then people retaliating against them because what they said is unpopular, right? That is, I think, the constitutional balance of power. I think they're saying that the courts might be, or maybe the legislative branch, I'm not sure, or not legislative, executive branch, are overstepping their bounds for subpoenaing a member of, or issuing a subpoena to a member of Congress. Maybe, I don't know. Leave a comment, please tell me what you think they're trying to say there, because what I think they're trying to do in both the mentioning that he's the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee and member of Congress is they're trying to establish that he was doing his job, right? Therefore, he cannot be prosecuted, which I think is complete horseshit, because he tried to pressure a state official who's in charge of elections to throw out votes or count votes as illegitimate and throw them out and change the winner of the state. That's not a part of his job, right? They're just trying to say he was doing his job. Therefore, Article 1, Section 6 of the Constitution says he cannot be arrested for it. No, that's not true. You were trying to overturn the election because Trump told you to, because you don't really have any morals in the first place. Lindsey? All right. There's more. Graham's lawyers said that investigators from Willis's office told them that their client... Oh, I already read that. I'm sorry. They also accused the attorney of working hand in hand with the House committee investigating the January 6th riot at the Capitol. So what? Okay? Like, Georgia was a huge part of that, right? Brad Raffensperger was threatened, and we have that call from Trump. So I would hope that they're working with the January 6th committee because it has stuff to do with it. But there is more from his lawyers. Quote, Fulton County is engaged in a fishing expedition working in concert with the January 6th committee. Any information from an interview or deposition with Senator Graham would immediately be shared with the January 6th committee. That is a statement from Willis. The lawyers also maintain that their client didn't do anything wrong in the phone calls. Right? It's so exhausting. A subpoena. I got the dictionary definition for you. Subpoena, a writ ordering a person to attend a court, right? You can't not comply with it, right? If you don't, the person can be charged with contempt of court and face financial sanctions or jail time. There's not really, let's be real, even if there are consequences, right? There's not going to be any jail time. So Lindsey Graham has decided not only is he going to defy a subpoena, but he's going to fight it in court to say that he was doing his job, pressuring an elected election official to defy votes from people. How is that a part of his job? That doesn't make sense. And it sucks because it's going to be turned into something partisan, right? Just because, I keep forgetting her name, I'm so sorry. Fani Willis is a Democrat. The points she's making still stand true. This guy's still allegedly still threatened an election official and tried to goad him into overturning an election. It doesn't make any sense to me. And Republicans will continue to justify it, right? Because the election was rigged, because people voted by mail, and Trump never would have lost unless the election was rigged, right? I don't understand it. I really don't. And now this is going to be a drawn-out legal battle, and we're not going to learn anything, right? Because they're going to argue that he was doing his job, and the Constitution is written so vaguely, which in some cases it's good, but in other cases it's not. And in this case, it's not, because now the proof of burden is on, in court at least, it's on the prosecution, right? Which in this case is, I forgot it that quickly. Her name is Fani Willis. She's going to be the prosecution in this. Lindsey Graham's the defendant, right? No matter, what people say, it's on the prosecution. And now they have to go through this vague terminology and things like that to try to prove that the subpoena isn't partisan, right? And he wasn't doing his job. And who knows how that's going to go. But obviously it'll be a big story when it comes out, and I'll be paying attention. But, all right, now we get to ignore Lindsey Graham, thank God. But we've got a feel-good story here. This is going to be the last story, so we're ending on a high note here. It comes from a guy named Maxwell Alejandro Frost. I think I said it. What a cool name. What a cool name. Frost, awesome last name. Alejandro, ties it all together. Maxwell, it's music to the ears. But the reason why I'm talking about him is because Gen Z is finally able to run for Congress. And this guy's doing just that. He's running for Florida's 10th district, which is Orlando area, Disney, which is solidly blue and has a vacancy because the incumbent, Val Demings, is running against Marco Rubio for Senate. He's 25 years old, which is the minimum age to serve in the U.S. House. You have to be 25 by January 20th, and he's got that beat. He's been working as an activist for, I think it's 12 years since the Sandy Hook massacre. 10 years in 2012. And most recently, he served as a national organizing director for March for Our Lives, a youth-led group advocating for increased gun control policy. He's also a survivor of a separate incident of gun violence. He's running his platform. He's running on things like Medicare for all, ending gun violence, pandemic preparedness, climate crisis, criminal justice reform, and housing and transportation reform and affordability. Ballotpedia, he is out fundraising all of the other Democrats in the primary. He's raised almost $1 million so far compared to 500. It's 478,000, but we'll round up 500,000 in second place, and 538 puts him at a 98% chance of winning. Right it's solidly blue, so basically whichever Democrat wins the primary wins the seat. Right, and the reason I wanted to talk about this is, first of all, go. I don't know what he goes by, but go, Mr. Frost. Right. I'll be the first person to say, go, Congressman Frost. That's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be great to finally have my generation in Congress, because Gen Z is very progressive. Right. I want to run for Congress, but I'm 22, so I will not be able to run for Congress until 2026. My February's February 26th, so I wouldn't be able to run for 2024, so I'll be 24 by January 20th. But next cycle, I'll be eligible to run. I still got the rest of this decade to go here, but it's so exciting because him and someone else. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot his name. But he's running in Missouri. I think his name is Ray Reid. He's also 25. They're both minority progressives, right? And they both have chances in their district. Frost more so, but this is so exciting. The next generation is finally going to be, or the current generation maybe, is going to be making our mark in Congress, right? And I genuinely believe in us, right? I genuinely believe in a decade from now, when Gen Z has started to run for House. You have to be 35 to be in the Senate. So in 10 years, we'll have some guys running for Senate too. Hopefully, Congressman Frost. I'm sticking with it. I'm speaking it into existence. Congressman Frost. Hopefully him and Reed will be running for Senate in a decade or so. But this is so exciting. This is so exciting to finally be ousting, not really ousting, I like Val Demings, but to finally be breaking in and having a larger progressive caucus in the House. This is so exciting because that means that the establishment Democrats are going to have to start taking us seriously in this cycle, in the next cycle, and the cycle after that. This is the highest, the oldest of Gen Z, right? Gen Z starts at 97. I was born in 2000, so I'm still in the older end of Gen Z, right? That's why I say, toward the end of this decade, I am very excited to see what the House looks like, because I genuinely believe Gen Z can make a change, right? And instead of running on the promise of change like Obama did, I genuinely believe that a lot of us genuinely care about people and genuinely want to make the country better, so that not only Gen Z, or not only progressives, or not only Gen Z, not only Democrats, but older Republicans can enjoy it too. Because speaking for myself here, this is a little anecdotal, but I want to run because I genuinely care about people, right? And whether they like me or not, I want to be able to have a positive change in people's lives, regardless of race, religion, creed, sexual orientation, gender, or political party, right? I want to improve the lives of others. And I genuinely believe that there's a lot of other people out there like me, right? And it only takes one. It only takes one to get the ball rolling. And I'm so excited. I'm going to be, as the midterms get closer, I'll be covering these people more, but I'm so excited for Frost and Reed, and if anyone else comes out of the woodwork, I've honestly kind of got to look through, but I'm excited. I'm so excited, and I'm excited for the next cycle to see where we're at now. I hope by then I'll have a platform so I can interview these people and get their message out, because even if you don't live in Florida's 10th, you can donate, you can spread the word, right? I'm just so excited, and I'm so full of hope to see what these people do and how they represent Gen Z, because come 2027, right, when I'm finally eligible, or 2026, I guess would be when I start campaigning. Wait, hold on a second. I just realized right now I can run in 2026 for 2027. No, I can run for 2020. Whatever. Halfway through the decade, in 3 years, I will be 25. So I can start in 2025 is what I'm trying to say. And I really, really hope that even if they can't get anything passed, I really, really hope that Frost and hopefully Reed, he's in a toss-up district, but I really, really hope that they represent not only their constituents, but us Gen Z hopefuls who want to get into politics for the right reasons, to actually help people and represent people and make the lives of people better and legislate. I hope that they represent us and what we stand for really well. So when I run, or when everyone else runs from our generation, I hope that people see what we're about. And with that, I want to end it. Please leave comments. When I start getting comments, a lot of comments, I really want to do a section of the show, probably toward the end, where we go through some comments from the previous day, and I respond and I give my thoughts, or there's just a conversation. So please leave some comments. Please be sure to share. If you're watching the YouTube version, if you're on the podcast version, then I don't know, 5 stars or whatever. I'm not really sure how it works, but interact with the video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you tomorrow.